Good morning, everyone. Bonjour. I can do it in French, but I think in English will be probably easier for most of the folks. It's great to be here in Victoria. It was quite a trip. Came from France on Wednesday, so using plane, Uber, ferry, plane, taxi, and getting here. So that's was a big trip. Well, today my goal is really to share with you lessons from different customers all over the world. So, and the idea is to share those stories, so between public sector, energy providers, and the mix between those two, and telling stories from Europe, US, and a few stories from Canada. So that's me, Frank. I'm French, based out of France. I'm the co-founder of Opendatasoft. It's a startup founded 12 years ago, 120 people dedicated to data sharing. So we started with open data, given our name, but we've been expanding, and I think we also have a few things around AI to share and mention, but that's not our core competency, but it's coming. I'll be your host today, and as you can maybe see, we have a booth, so if you have any additional question after, don't hesitate to come and see us. Quick agenda, so it's who we are, who we serve, so we'll go pretty quickly on this, and focusing on two topics, so smart city, utility, and open data, and how when you mix energy providers, data, and municipality, how the magic happens. So that's going to be the salesy part, sorry. The slides were made thanks to my head of marketing, and she made me promise I'll do the salesy part, so it's going to be quick, but I think it's very important for you to understand who we are, what's the technology, to better understand the data use case and the open data use case we cover. So we are a software vendor. Everything is cloud-based, so everything we do and we deliver is based out of the cloud. So we use different cloud providers depending the region of the world where we are. So we use AWS, we use sovereign cloud in some cases. And what we provide is a data portal solution. So we provide a tool that enables cities, ministries, countries, energy providers to really publish and share data to different stakeholders. So that's what we do. And we intend to do it as seamlessly as possible, and I think the key word is self-service. So really the goal for us is to have a tool that enables any user to easily search, find, retrieve information, no matter if he's a data scientist or, let's say, the average citizen who has no skills but knows how to search on Google. So that's our target. So it should be as simple as this. So that's our intent. So having something super easy, sometimes, let's say, removing the complexity, because technically speaking, it is complex, but it should be very easy to use for any user. So what's a data portal? So a data portal is finally a tool to mix data leaders and data consumers. So on the one side, you have the data people, so chief data officers, you name it, and data producers. And on the other end, you have data consumers. And data consumers, given the open data scope, are usually non-technical users. So you should be able to provide like we call a one-stop shop, so something easy to access, sometimes log in, sometimes not, and then to be able to discover all your data assets. So 10 years ago when we were talking about open data, it was only data sets, and more we transitioned to not only data sets, but data assets. And inside the data assets, you find metadata, you find sometimes AI, algorithms. So we're also moving to not only data, but data assets. And I think the vocabulary could be important. In terms of use case, of course, open data is the key one. But what's interesting is we also have seen during those 12 years the use case evolving. So from 3 different use cases. First one being internal data portal. The way, in fact, you serve sometimes your end user with open data, you have exactly the same needs for internal data sharing. So between different departments, you have to share data. Of course, people need to be authenticated, but your user, I mean your average user as employees, they don't have that much technical skills. Maybe 5% of your organization is very tech savvy, but they have to access data. They have to understand the data assets inside your organization. So data portal, and it could be called internal data marketplace, internal open data, are one of the key use cases we cover. The second use case is what we call partner data portal. So partner data portal are kind of the same flavor, but more open toward different stakeholders inside your ecosystem. So it could be either a region serving different municipalities or a ministry serving different stakeholders, but anyone has to kind of be authenticated. We also have use cases where public sector are monetizing data. This happens in the world, and we have one customer, for example, in Australia, that is using this partner portal approach as a marketplace, and they are monetizing GIS data. So it's another way, so it's not open data per se, but it's the same kind of data approach, and that exists. And of course, the last one is open data portals. So you know very well what it is. What's interesting is when we worked with the city of Paris more than 10 years ago and launched their data portal, they realized that one of the first users, or let's say a pretty good majority of their users when they were tracking the IP address were internal users. So it's very interesting to see that when you are able to build something easy to use, easy to understand, most of our first users are internal users because they cannot find internally what you are able to do externally. So it's open up interesting project to finally come from open data and then offer the same, let's say, data experience to your internal users. So as mentioned, it's been 12 years we are doing this this activity. We have 120 employees, office in France and in North America, more than 350 customers. And what's also interesting is we are covering not only public sector, so from municipalities to state agencies, ministries, but also like countries, energy providers, but also pure private sector. And that's also interesting because not only when you serve bank, insurance, or industries, the thing is, they are usually they are a bit ahead of the technology than the public sector. But in fact, public sector benefits from this. So AI was mentioned, so we do have AI capabilities, but most of the time they are driven by, let's say, most advanced verticals, like banks, like industries, and everyone benefits from it because as a SaaS product, all the features are almost the same for all of our customers, no matter the size, the location, or the vertical. So now I'm going to show you a few use cases. So I had two choices. One was to do live demos, and the other one was to do screenshots. So I took the screenshot. Thanks to the Wi-Fi, I was not sure. But if you want to see all those, let's say, use cases in motion, please come to our booth, and you can see all of these as a real demos. So maybe first thing first. So I know Linda will probably develop this way better than me, but City of Vancouver, it's a great customer. So I will not talk too much about it, but a few things are of interest. So not only they are using open data to serve citizens, but they also use open data as one of the core component to build their van dashboard. And the van dashboard is something pretty interesting. It's a way to measure KPIs and different types of KPIs. I think the city has 65 KPIs, so from the core service to other services, where you define a metric, like in this case, the fire incident, and fire incidents is measured, and every quarter you challenge this. So I think if I were living in Vancouver, knowing that in less than 6.38 minutes, a fire incident could be resolved, or the firemen are coming, I think it's a good way as a citizens to challenge my city. I'm not sure Paris has the same type of KPIs. So it's a way to demonstrate performance, so way ahead than just open data, but also taking some kind of commitment to the citizens. But I'll let Linda and team develop this. Another one, so moving from BC to Ontario, City of Kingston, same, launched their open data portal, but they really want to engage with the different stakeholders and the citizens. So they are heavily using data stories, data visualization to be able to engage with the citizens. So of course, I didn't mention it, but a data portal should be able to retrieve raw data, visualization, and APIs. So that's the norm now. But also, you'll see a lot of data visualization because it's a very good way to tell stories. And regarding telling stories, if we move to the US, so this example is very interesting. So this one is the state of North Carolina, and the end user is the state of budget and management. So the goal of this organization is to attract business and families to North Carolina, and they kind of compete against the other states in the US. So they use their open data approach to build what they call the one-stop shop for data. So the name of their project is Link, like login, North Carolina. And it's the place where if you want to sell to North Carolina, or if you're interested into building a factory in North Carolina, you have all the details. And they are really working pretty hard to make the data available and compelling for attracting companies and families. And maybe to echo what the minister said yesterday morning, the idea is also to build trust thanks to your data. In the US, for example, they are aligning different stories using census data, for example, the Native American heritage. And they are launching different initiatives. One is building data stories to exchange information through data, through visualization, but given context. And same idea is to build trust on sometimes sensitive topics. Now moving to energy providers. So this one was mentioned yesterday in a session with Hydro-Québec and the ODI. So this customer is UK Power Networks. So it's one of the energy distributor in UK. They are around London. And they decided to go open data about 2 years ago. So they started pretty small. And since then, they've been expanding enough to be one of the best-in-class energy open data in the world. And I know Hydro-Québec and others are exchanging with them. And all the notion of data triage, so everything we've heard yesterday, they've been implementing it. So it's very interesting to see that there is this movement, so mainly in Europe. So I had a different conversation yesterday where in North America, utilities are not sharing their data, no real time, no information on EVs. That's the opposite in Europe. In Europe, it started pretty early. So in France, Spain, UK, so every utility is now sharing their data. So, and when sharing data as a utility, meaning sharing real-time information, consumption, production, like every 15 minutes, every 5 minutes, where you can have real-time information. So it means that the technology should also be able to handle dynamic data, a lot of API calls, because many people are reusing this, and many people are building application hooking on their APIs. Now a few slides to show the magic when, in fact, energy providers are sharing data with the public sector. Maybe this first one is very interesting. So Iredes, if you don't know them, it's the energy of Portugal. So Iredes is an energy distributor. They are serving 6 million customers in Portugal. They sent a massive open data initiative where they are sharing a lot of information, but especially dedicated to municipalities. So what they've done is they have launched this huge portal, so dedicated to municipalities, where as a Portuguese municipality, you can drill down, you can search, and they are serving more than 280 municipalities where anyone can have access to their consumption, the mix between EV, so a lot of technical information. Like this one is like smart metering, let's say installed meters, sorry. So very interesting, insightful, and a lot of reuse. And one of the main reuser of this, for example, is the city of Porto in Portugal. So what Porto is doing, they are ingesting data from this utility through an API, of course. And when you have power cuts or planned or non-planned, the city is using this data to send text and SMS to the zip code concerned by the shortcuts. So a real example of when a utility is sharing data, something happens with the public sector, with the municipalities, and at the end, with the citizens. Same in France, so another player called Enedis, so serving 40 million inhabitants in France, and I mean, not inhabitants, but customers. And here what you can see is like a screenshot of a city called Nantes. And the idea is not only with open data you can share information, but you can drive action. In this case, you have the consumption of the city with the different like equivalent of zip code or even thinner than zip code, and the potential of the buildings and the way they are efficient or not. And if you mix everything, the city can decide what is the best option or where to emphasize the efforts for city renovation, for rebuilding things, and thanks to energy data. So without this, it's not possible. And it works since a few years now. And maybe the last one to finish, so Greater Paris, so-called Île-de-France, so it's around 11 million inhabitants. And here, so same, they've launched an open data portal since almost 10 years now, but now they are really moving to smart city and they are developing applications. So this one, for example, is if you are in Greater Paris and if you are interested into having an information on the solar potential of your roof, if you have a house or that's an application where you put your address, and depending on the address, it gives you the solar potential, so in terms of number of solar panels you can install, the energy you can store, and how much people you can serve. And then, if you are interested, there is a whole, let's say, workflow to guide you to the solar panel installers and everything you need to really do the work. So it's really very interesting to have this kind of use case and applications, which are, let's say, the extension of open data portals. I think I'm done for this morning. So happy to answer any questions, and we have a booth, so don't hesitate to come to us. Thank you.